Happy camper.
Can't stay young forever, man.
No.
Dude, thanks for reconvening us. I think this is number 7, right?
Yeah, I think so.
How we see it, man.
We see it. We definitely see it.
Yeah, this week's been something. So
you don't say.
We're filming this early in the morning, I want to say. We are dedicated.
We are. And we're going from here to another
to our radio show. Yeah.
A lot of talking today.
Lots of talking today. But before 12:30, a lot of talking today.
Yeah, exactly.
So much to talk about here.
Yes.
And again, folks, we're coming at this as not trying to be overly critical. We're just doing observational stuff. 2 regular guys talking about current events. Definitely not trying to solve the world, but we're probably asking more questions than we're providing answers. But we're not here to provide answers. We're here to just have this discussion.
Exactly.
So Mr. Trump had his Mar-a-Lago. Am I pronouncing that?
Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago residence raided. I'm just going to let you start with this.
It's completely fucked up. Well, I mean, first,
I have a theory, but I want to hear yours.
Okay,
first.
So first, it's, I believe, the first former president's home to ever be raided.
Right.
The warrant said it was, the Espionage Act, obstruction of justice, and criminal handling of documents, I believe. Mm-hmm. Now, my understanding was Trump and his attorneys were cooperating. They're trying to. They were saying it might have been National Archives stuff that was taken or things that he said he declassified.
Right.
Nothing's really clear. But what I don't get, I'll just say it like it is. They don't fucking like Trump. That's really what it boils down to. Because if they were,
it's on display.
It's on display.
It's been on display.
And what's going to happen? And here's how I think it's going to fucking backfire. Because they're doing everything they can to try and take this dude down. Because they couldn't do anything. Nothing has worked up to this point. The January 6th hearings are bullshit. All the stuff they claim has been bullshit. Now it's like, let's fucking raid the house. When they were cooperating, right? They were cooperating with the FBI, and all of a sudden they do a raid, which is bullshit. The day after the raid, I think I saw his campaign website raised more money a day than it's raised in any month to this point. First.
Not surprising.
Second, a lot of left-leaning people, because it's scary. If the government can come in and do this shit right now, think about
dangerous precedent.
Right. Think about how you and I are. Like, we're average citizens, right? Business owners, average people. What can the government do to us? So I started seeing all of these left-leaning people on Twitter and on all the social media who were very against Trump. Like, one guy in particular, I can't remember his name, but he posted, he says, I told myself I did not want Trump back in the White House. He was too toxic, all this other shit. He's like, now I want Trump to burn this motherfucker down. Mm-hmm. People are losing their mind because it puts us in a scary time. If the government can come in, really, do we even know if they had the right to do it? I mean, there's a lot of legal questions involved with all of this. To a former president's residence and just raid it and take documents when he was already cooperating, like, that puts us in a very interesting time, a scary time, coupled with the whole $80 billion that's going to the IRS now to hire, more agents over the next 10 years. It's a scary time in this country, my friend. So I want to hear your theory.
I don't know. The one thing I try to do for the entire podcast, not just our series together here, but I think you've done enough shows with me to know that I don't want to be branded that conspiracy guy or that conspiratorial. No, we do fun stuff like UFO shows and things. I mean, I understand what a conspiracy is, but I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist as my go-to. Right. But there are things that I question often, and here, everything around Trump, the longer the saga goes, the more conspiratorial at times it looks,
right?
Even from an outsider looking in. And everything with Trump is always political, from him and, of course, from those who can't stand him. Yep. It's never... It's guised maybe on policy occasionally, but really it comes down to either you like the guy's brashness and you like his policies, or you fucking can't stand him,
right?
And you think every time he opens his mouth is an insult to you or other people. Yeah, it's just it's a philosophy thing.
Yeah, you're right, 100%.
All that being said, the argument can be made that you can look at why this raid happened, and all of a sudden, another attempt to take him down, or persecute, or just find something to prosecute him on. Things keep kind of failing, right?
Yep.
We assume, because obviously it's taking if you are going to find something on him, they've had lots of shots.
2 years,
nothing's really happened.
Right.
And it's hard for me to buy into, Rocco, the idea that he was somehow selling nuclear secrets to the Saudis for money.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was really a concern, don't we have enough folks that would have been looking at this at the start of or at the end of his first presidency? Like when it was over, like people wouldn't have identified that as a problem like right away. Why is it kind of conveniently? It's an odd thing that now.
I didn't hear that.
Be conveniently. Oh, that's there. That's the essence was that the top secret documents. Part of the top secret documents are relates to an espionage act that he would be providing this information on nuclear secrets to the Saudis and those in Qatar.
Okay, so I heard that it was just he had documents in his possession that were of that classified nature. I didn't realize that they were claiming that he was.
And it took him a year and a half to finally come after that. It took the U.S. It took the agencies. The National Archives. I would think the National Archives wouldn't be at the forefront of an investigation like that, right?
I think that's a bunch of pretext. It's some bullshit, and I think there's a lot of just speculation being tossed out there when it comes to what's going on. National Archives. I heard that it was a Secret Service agent that tipped off the FBI that he had these documents, which, again, not a conspiracy theorist like you have said and put it eloquently. I look at just the objective facts of what the fuck is going on. And it doesn't, like in law school, they teach us that they call it the smell test. Like sometimes you can't articulate what's going on. It just doesn't pass the smell test. And this is one of those situations where my natural instinct tells me something else is fucking going on here. And it's really about getting him. They don't want him to run again. That's really what, in my mind, what it boils down to.
Right? I mean, that's obvious.
Right, because they know what will happen if he does. He's going to expose every fucking thing. They can't do what they did in the last election. They're not going to pull another COVID bullshit. And if he runs, I truly believe, because so many people are pissed off in this country, that he will win. And if he picks the right running mate, that can be a potential 12-year Republican run. And in my mind, they're doing everything they can to prevent that, because it's about self-preservation right now. Because if he comes in, he's the outsider that started exposing shit. So they got him out. If he gets back in there, he's going to burn the motherfucker down.
Yeah, it's hard to argue the logic behind that.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a fan or a critic to look at that reasonably. And it just matters whether it terrifies you or whether you're rooting it on. That's where you on a political standpoint. But, objectively looking at it, it's hard to argue. You can throw other things in there like, I don't know enough about the Hunter Biden thing. I see the salacious. Now, I see all the salacious stuff, and I see all that stuff. But obviously, the same kind of espionage language could easily be thrown out to him. It's being thrown out to Trump, but nothing's flipping happening on the officially. Right. He's now being photographed hanging out with his dad at the beach. And it's that kind of stuff. It's kind of like, I don't want to get personally involved with it, but it's almost like they're flaunting. Yeah, look what we're doing.
It's bullshit.
Almost like, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, they were asking
American public, fuck you. Look what we're doing. Oh, we're at the beach with our money.
Well, right. They asked in a hearing. I think it was this week. There was a hearing with one of the attorney generals for the Department of, I think, Homeland Security, or I can't remember what it was. But they were saying, well, what is going on with? Are you in possession of his laptop? And they wouldn't answer the fucking question. We can't comment on an ongoing investigation. We're not asking you to comment on the investigation. We're asking you, do you or don't you have something in your possession? And if you look at all the shit that's out there on this guy, like, on its face, it's fucking terrible.
100%. I mean,
on its face.
It's all, well,
you don't have to be a lawyer to figure it out.
I would say a lot of what that guy did, he put out in the public. Even the videos, the crack, and all that stuff, right? I mean, that was enough to warrant investigatory.
Yes. If that is my son, I'm locking him in the fucking room and being like, just shut the fuck up for 4 years.
But the arrogance, which is basically an implied power play.
That's exactly what it is. You're 100% right.
It's something. It's breathtaking. It's like, it's what Trump gets accused of doing.
Yes, exactly.
But it's just it's unfolding here where, he's getting protected by daddy.
Yeah. And what frustrates me the most is the rules are not the same on both sides. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like, oh, you're terrible for doing this, but we're going to do it here, and it only is bad when you do it.
The essence of politics,
and that's why politics are terrible, because the rules aren't the same. I'd be fine if the rules are the same across the board. Like, if you guys want to play this power play on both sides and everybody it's an understood thing, whatever, it is what it is. Mm-hmm. But you can't have it one way and not the other. It's such bullshit.
So here's the other unwritten dangerous thing from my perspective is simply that if we weaponize the justice system, okay, especially at high levels, and which, again, elements of that might have been happening for decades.
Sure.
Okay, but if it's proven and the facts are laid out to the public and it's pretty bloody, if it's proven that that's been happening, and the result that those who are weaponizing doesn't come to fruition and they're exposed, you run the risk of the common man, which certainly we are, the common folk, no longer trusting that government entity. I mean, really not trusting it. And then that spreads to other law enforcement agencies. A mentality sets in like the system's fucking rigged.
Yeah.
Not the assumption and the laughable note that of course we know the system's rigged. No. We really start to think that there's no validity in our legal system.
Yep.
Right? That's really dangerous.
It's happening now, though. I mean, people are questioning every system. I mean, the fabric of our society, the systems in the government and the way the establishment is set up, it's being questioned intensely right now, in my opinion. And what frustrates me, as a lawyer, I remember when I was graduating law school, I had this inspiring professor. Like, he was amazing, Professor Ankowiak, and he gave this speech on the last day of our class. I had a labor law class, and it was just like, it gives me chills to think about it. Like, he said to us, we're going out in the world as lawyers. We are the gatekeepers of society. It's our job to uphold the law and protect what's right. And that has been torn apart right now. Like, I look at it as a lawyer. I do business and entertainment, so it's a little bit different. But looking at the system and the establishment, the fucking law has become a joke. And that frustrates me, because I take a very, I take a very high, like, I put myself up to a high standard. And, I believe that, going through the rites of passage to go through law school and take the bar exam and to be in a profession where it's my job to uphold the law or to be a gatekeeper to ensure laws are followed, and it's being torn apart laughingly, like, that's frustrating. Like, that's not how this country's built, and we need to fix it.
Well, there has to be a foundation, right?
Right.
We've always had a foundation of laws.
Yes.
But look, I don't really believe that the average Joe citizen, John Q. Public, can we even say that anymore in this crazy world? Mary Q. Public, or they, them, Q Public, whatever is
person public,
whatever is politically correct.
Yes.
It isn't that we don't believe that there's corruption. The assumption is that politics runs on money, often dirty money, and the system is corrupt. But at least there is a foundation of operation that is visible to the public, that works within the tenets of our Constitution.
Correct.
The average person on the street who's paying somewhat attention and knows a little bit about history can accept that.
Yeah.
And within that, knowing, we go about our business and feel relatively good about America and safe. And we tend to want to be in a civil operating society. Right?
Yes.
that fabric of all of what I just said is slowly cracking and eroding. And it's happening in areas that, like I said, law enforcement, it's dangerous.
Yes.
I can't stress that enough as a citizen. Like, I'm looking around like, yeah, we can say there's little tells. People are taking more liberties in public. They're a little bit meaner. They're willing to get into consternation with other people, and they're willing to do things that they might not have done 20 years ago. Yeah, that's a tell. But on the broader sense, if you look at the FBI or whatever, and you really look at that as a corrupt agency, that tends to, quote unquote, trigger the nuts in society.
Yeah, absolutely.
From all sides. Yep. It's just fucking dangerous.
It's extremely dangerous, the situation we're in right now. And something has to course correct. And I'm hoping that at the midterm elections, we get some balance back in government to start looking at shit differently. Because that's what we need. Because right now, it's too out of whack. And you're right. Like, the crazies are coming out. They see what's happening. And then you have conspiracy theorists and the crazy people on both sides.
But see, here's what's fascinating. Let's talk about politics for a second. So if Trump oftentimes in the last 6 years of our society gets blamed for bringing out extremism. But see, if you're really paying attention, extremism, has been slowly building for well before he was on the fucking scene.
Yes.
He's outward and brash and all that, which I think may have accelerated some extremists, but I don't think he purposely did anything to encourage an extreme wing of any party to do anything. But that movement toward extremism, I think, was just where our society's been going with the breakdown of morals and the breakdown of civility.
Yeah.
Web related or not, maybe, I don't know. That's above my, that's beyond my pay grade. But I'm just saying, it's not directly related to one man. There's a narrative from some that it is related to him. And if he is eliminated, regardless if it's a Republican or a Democrat, doesn't matter. It's going to be all better and it's going to be rosy and kind. It wasn't fucking rosy and kind in 2014, in 2012, 2010, 2008, 6, all the way back. It's been a slow burn. And it didn't happen overnight. That's my point. And not by eliminating one man does not solve the moral and the civil issues of a country. No, it's naive thinking.
Well, right. In looking at the removal of him as a sleight of hand trick. That's all it is. It's like, look,
logic would tell you.
It's like all this shit's happening, but it's really him. So let's remove him. All this shit's still going to go on, but we're going to make the average person think it's better now because he's gone. When really the same shit's happening, the corruption is there. He was just exposing a lot of the shit because he was the outsider.
100%.
In government,
we've never had one. We never had one. And the one that we happened to get as the first one had, he doesn't care about. Listen, it's one thing to get an outsider in, but it's another person to get an outsider in who really does not care about the way things have been done prior and views the system as corrupt and doesn't mind maneuvering that way or telling you.
Yeah. And has the money that he doesn't need the money politics.
It was a unique, interesting circumstance.
Yes.
Yeah. And as the time goes on, it's going to be very interesting to watch. But again, at the rate, it could be a diversion potentially to take the public's attention off of the bad economy. It could be the oil prices. It could be the shit that's going on with China, bad foreign policy. I don't know. I mean, I'm throwing out ideas. And they all sound conspiratorial, but you know what? It's a cause and effect thing for me. There's a reason this happened now. Because if it was about espionage, I would think for a national security thing, it should have been done about 2 weeks after he was gone.
Yeah, exactly. They knew he had documents with him.
Yeah, so why all of a sudden now have they selected... Yeah, or are you going to admit that our government's that fucking incompetent that, these are these secret nuclear documents, I guess we should go retrieve those.
Right.
We just found out about them now. I mean, I have a hard time.
That's not the case.
How do you wrap your head around that?
This was a well-timed rage.
All right, so CDC has dropped all quarantine requirements for COVID. I know COVID's your favorite subject, but I have to mention it because, that's something that kind of, the powers that be kind of slid that past us this past week.
So what changed? My question, because I think the recommendation also says, well, you should still wear masks if you're in an area of high transmission. So my question is, and this is just me being a logical thinker, okay, 6 months ago when there was areas of high transmission, however they define it, like X amount of cases per 100,000, right? It was social distance. You should quarantine if you get it and wear masks. Now we don't have to quarantine or social distance, but we still need to wear masks. Like, what changed? And that's my problem with this whole thing. It's just fucking made up as they go.
And right now, I'm at the point when I look at it, anytime I see these little pockets of mask mandate shit, I think one thing, and I think that is absolutely a power play for whoever has the power at that moment in that little geographical reason to press the fucking button down.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nothing but a power play.
Yep.
I at this point, for sure. I think there's lots of power plays that went on through the whole thing regionally.
Yep.
Right? But I think now when I see little pockets of it, I don't think it's rooted in safety. I'm sorry. Call me naive. I think it's a power play for whatever politician can get away with it.
Yeah, and it's just, and it's a totally arbitrary power play because it does nothing. What's the point of it, right? To keep people safe? Well, why don't we just tell people to social distance? Like that, because we know masks aren't that effective.
Wash your fucking hands.
Right, like wash your hands, don't cough on people. I mean, you should stay sick. If you're fucking sick, stay home. Or keep 6 feet apart. But now the CDC saying you don't need to do that, but you still need to wear a mask. Like, what the fuck? Like that, in my mind, it just defies logic. It defies logic.
The messaging is nuts.
Yeah.
Alex Jones, did you follow any of that shit?
Yeah.
So let me start.
I'm a lawyer,
this one
man.
out. Yeah, let me start this one out. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to go here, and I don't know if the jackass actually warrants all this. These words we're going to give him. Before I get into why the guy has driven me crazy for a long time, the irony of Alex Jones, though, is when you look at all the stuff, he does occasionally predict or have insider information. Where he gets it, I do not know.
You're right.
I've also spent time I'll never get back, but I've spent time over the last couple of years watching his appearances on Rogan. He's actually a friend of Rogan's, and Rogan's kind of a sympathetic ear. Rogan doesn't agree with him on a lot of stuff.
Yep.
But Rogan has found something within the man that he finds funny, I think. But it's interesting to see that he occasionally comes up with like stuff like, how did he know that? Like 2 years ahead of time. So that's why I think there's always that little air of validity. And that's why I think InfoWars has the broad base, because it's not just catering to conspiracy theorists. It's got a broader reach than that.
It does.
And I think it's because he at times has been right.
Absolutely.
And if you say that, you get branded as like an Alex Jones, like, I don't. And I want to tell you why I can't stand the guy. So that being said, the reason why he drives me insane, Rocco, over the years is, and I've said this to you before, he is the kind of guy that would go deer hunting and take a machine gun and spray the entire fucking forest.
Yeah.
He'll get his deer.
Yeah.
But the collateral damage of his words and his bullshit, and that's what's happening with Sandy Hook, is I don't know enough about all the crap that he said, but he's certainly by denying that happened or throwing a conspiracy element to that, he hurt a lot of people. Now, again, we're in a country where we talk about hurt feelings a lot, but this is about the death of children.
Yeah.
That's another level, man.
Totally different level, yes.
So again, I don't know. You can talk more about the procedural law stuff, but on the emotional standpoint, as a citizen and as a human being, I think a lot of what he does, whether it's intended or not for Mr. Jones, is rather despicable verbally.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
And I understand why there's pain at times.
Yeah.
Not always. I think a lot of people are butthurt to be butthurt. In this particular instance, I think he's kind of getting, in some regards, his just desserts, because it was really egregious.
And he was claiming that the Sandy Hook, where they were false flag actors.
And all he had to do is he could have gotten his point across without hurting other people involved with that. I don't know if he has the skill to maneuver that way. I don't know.
No, I don't know. I think he's just wired differently. He can't. He's not going to maneuver tactfully through situations like this.
I challenge you, if you've not seen him on Rogan, and you're bored out
Oh
of
yeah,
your,
I mean, I've
bored out of
watched
your
him
brain.
on Rogan.
So no, only because not even for the substance, just to watch the way he just goes.
Yeah.
Rogan couldn't even corral him.
No,
Rogan
you can't
couldn't even
corral that
slow
dude.
him down.
No, you can't. He is a wound
Manic.
toy. He's manic, yes. But the whole trial, I mean.
So what happened with this particular issue?
Yeah, so the 30,000 foot view is his attorneys sent over a file in error that had all of his text messages, shit he said he didn't have, and it had all this evidence and text messages on this file to be downloaded that was just damaging.
So he risked perjuring himself, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. And I guess the attorney's legal assistant sent it over in error. They corrected themselves, or they said, "I think we sent you the wrong file. We'll send you the new one." I don't believe they ever did. And then the plaintiff's attorney downloaded it and took the evidence, and it was basically that person's moment in the sun. Now, again, procedurally, like every state has different procedural rules, and federal court has different procedural rules, but I look at it from a decorum in the profession perspective. If I would send someone something on the opposing counsel, and I said, I sent that to you in error, that is not the right file, I would expect that person not to open it and use that against me. Now, if they do, that's their choice, and I fucked up, so I would own that responsibility. But there is a certain decorum in the profession.
Ethics, they call it.
Yeah, ethics. Right? Yeah, I mean, but his attorneys committed malpractice. I mean, that's a huge error. I mean, that is they basically lost him the case. So yeah, and I watched the next day they filed a motion to squash the evidence, and the judge was like, no, like, I'm not going to do it. And it was one of those moments, I have friends that are lawyers, and they were all over Facebook posting because, people are, liberal and conservative, and everyone's like fighting over.
There's an angle.
There's an angle to it. Yeah, no one ever just, and that's what, sidebar, like, that's what frustrates me about social media, because I have friends that I think are, that I went to law school with that are very intelligent people, but in everything they put out, there's always a political leaning to it. It's just like, just talk about the procedural. Don't champion because you're a liberal. Like, yeah, he got what he deserved. Like, his lawyers fucked up. And it's just like, just speak to what happened. We don't need to put our political opinion or our political bend on everything we say. That's the problem I have with it, and that's why this country's become so toxic.
You nailed it.
Because everybody has to put their opinion or their. I don't give a shit about your political opinion. Like you shouldn't give a shit about mine. It's mine, right? If I'm putting something out there, if someone asks me, I'll discuss it. But if I'm referring to something that's very factual and objective in nature, there is no reason for me to put my political spin on it. Mm-hmm. But I remember that day I was just watching. I'm thinking of a couple people in particular. I'm not going to say their names, but they were posting and sharing articles, and just the way they were writing, you're like, oh, like, you're such a fuckbag.
They try to justify their point.
Yeah,
it's like, you're
I'm a lawyer. Listen to me. I'm the expert. Yes, this, and this. But then it's like all this like liberal bullshit and all this conservative bullshit. And it's like, just shut the fuck up.
Does anybody care about Ukraine anymore? They're still fighting Russia. Russia's invaded them.
Yeah.
But you don't see it on the news.
No, it's not popular to care about anymore. Like, that's really
not popular.
That's how I look at it. Like, looking back at people, when the whole thing started, like, everybody changing their Facebook profile to "I stand with Ukraine." Well, do you? Because I mean, the shit's still going on. I haven't heard. And I could just picture people in my head that had that, and now they've moved on to the next hot topic. And to me, it's like, if you truly care about a cause, you're going to care about the cause until the cause is resolved. Mm-hmm. Most people are just caring about a cause to say they care about a cause.
And I hate to use this word, but it's like the sexy thing to do at the moment.
Exactly. Like, I hate the fact that Facebook allows you to change your profile to add a flag or to add this, because all it does is gives people a reason to feel good about themselves when they don't really give a shit about the cause. Because I would ask those people, have you sent money to Ukraine?
Yeah, to me, that's the litmus test.
Yeah,
right.
Like, what have you done other than change your Facebook profile picture?
That's the litmus test,
right? Like, because I don't.
That's easy,
right? Like,
there's no validity to that.
No, like, I'm a charitable person. I donate money to charity all the time. I don't put it out there. and I don't change my profile picture, say, hey, I'm supporting child abuse this month, or hey, like I'm involved in charity events, like I share those to try and get people to donate. But like,
You don't wear it as a badge.
no, like, and so many people were doing that. Like, and I get it if you're trying to, prayer support or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the people that put that and they take a position, very hard position. But it's, okay, well, what are you doing? Like,
They
what
don't
are you
understand the position.
Right.
That's the thing. And I don't. And again, when I say that, there's a lot of things that I tend to lean and get passionate about, but I have to learn to walk myself back. Like, I don't have all the facts. Now, I definitely think Putin's an evil fucker. I absolutely believe it. I think that Zelensky, I believe he was doing the best he could in the circumstance he was put in there. But I'm always suspect to him. And now him and his wife being on the cover of Vogue Europe. Did you see that shit?
No.
So don't quote me the exact publication, but I believe it is Vogue. They did a cover of this glamorous cover of Zelensky and his wife in
During
the middle
of a fucking war.
I'm not shitting you. Look it up. So they're on the cover of, I think it's Vogue. I'm pretty sure it's Vogue. It's not Vanity Fair. I believe it's Vogue.
Okay.
So that immediately, how did that jive with, being in the trenches and watching your brethren getting killed and pleading to the world for more money and all that stuff? So again, it doesn't, it does not change my mind on the right and the wrong generally in this war, because they were in a sovereign state invaded by a bully, and that bully is indiscriminately killing civilians. So I know the right and wrong of that visually, but there's so much more to the story.
Yes.
And it's sad that's, when I saw that, I was like,
if you're in the middle of a war, how do you have time to do a cover shoot?
Dude,
you're the president of the fucking country. I don't understand that.
All right. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but Elizabeth Warren, who is just, I've just never really understood her much.
I don't like her at all.
Well, I don't have an opinion on it. I don't have an opinion on the person, but she's kind of like that she reminds me of a school teacher. Her and Hillary Clinton had the same thing. My good friend Jim used to say this for decades. He's like, it isn't that I don't like Hillary Clinton as a human because I don't know her, but what drives me crazy about her is like she reminds me of that second grade school teacher, right? That you just didn't like because it was always a lecture and she was always telling you how you should be doing things. And Hillary Clinton's always telling you how much better or how much that she knows that you don't know and how you should be doing things, and don't look too closely at me. It's none of your business. You just do as I say. That's how Clinton appealed to me. Not appealed to me. It wasn't. That's the impression I had of her. That never changed. As a matter of fact, they got even more spiteful as the years went on. But I think Elizabeth Warren has a little bit of that in her too. And it's not a knock on her intelligence or her credentials. It's just a knock on her public presence. All that being said, she made this comment. Now, this is Elizabeth Warren. She said, in the era of wokeness and in the era of all this gender fluidity and this confusion now about are there women, aren't there women, are they birthing people, are men allowed to be men, are traditional women allowed to be women, and all the crap that goes on right now in the confusion, she makes the following comment, Rocco. If I had a penis, I'd be president. She said that.
Yes.
No one made that up. She said that.
Right. So what she's basically saying is, I am the all-supreme female, and the only thing preventing me from running the free world is I don't have a dick. Like,
that's how I read it.
I don't even know what to say on that. Like, it's so, because again, now you're diminishing the value of women. Why can't you be president? Like, it's not because you're saying that it's a male-run country, it's a male-run world, and there's the patriarchal system, which I believe we've shattered that somewhat. And and then you're saying, okay, well, if I had a penis, I'd be president. But then, and again, like we said before, it's like they're trying to erase feminism. Yeah. Like, that's really what it is. Because I think women are powerful. Like, women do things men cannot do.
No doubt.
There is something so powerful about a feminine woman or feminism in general that I admire. And now we're just trying to erase it. By saying a statement like that I would be present if I had a penis, you're basically saying that women are the weaker sex. And that's not the case. Like, I believe we are equal. We are equally skilled, and men are more powerful in certain things, and women are more powerful in certain
I believe
things.
the genders complement each other.
Absolutely.
I mean, not just for the sake of reproduction, but I mean, now, but yes, there was absolute male dominance in society forever. And,
Sure.
and in certain pockets, there's unfair shit that goes on, but that's life, right?
Yes.
At this point, but women in the feminist movement, to my understanding, has made unbelievable strides,
Right.
and it's for the betterment of society,
Right.
so
Yes.
so I can't put my finger on it, but it's like there are folks out there that want to de-emphasize what a woman is, which to me then is kind of saying, if you're not de-emphasizing what a man is, just woman, then you're kind of like turning them into males. Like, to some degree, like, like if it's, you're blurring the lines in some regard.
Well,
I don't understand.
It's selective optics. It's like, okay, we're going to say women when it's convenient to say women. The Roe v. Wade thing. I'm a woman. It's my body, my choice, right? So that was the whole argument there.
Yeah.
Which, okay, now it's like in this situation, well, I'd be president if I was a man. So you're basically saying a woman can't be president. That statement is basically saying I'm the most qualified person. The only thing preventing me is that I'm not a male.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things to read into that, but one of the things you just nailed is that there's a huge level of fucking arrogance right there.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, it's nothing to do with gender. It's just saying
No.
I am
it.
Yeah. And listen, you need confidence in politics, but it just comes off crass to me.
It really does.
Crass. Coming from a group of folks on that extreme left that they put themselves above everybody anyways. They don't see it in their own eyes, but that's what they're doing. That's
exactly
how most of America sees that.
Yes.
That mindset. And again, another example of like lecturing, talking down.
Yeah.
It's just nuts to me.
And
like,
they have no self-awareness of what they're doing.
right. They don't realize the optics of that to the majority of voting people, and they wonder why they don't win on a national basis. It's not. It has to be. I mean, some would say stupidity, but it really, I'll give them their intelligence. It's just that there's an arrogance level that's unbelievable.
It's an abject failure of common sense is really what it is.
Oh man. I'm going to say this last one for the end here. It's more conceptual because you love those.
I love those.
I know we're kind of all over the board here, but that's what we do,
Yes.
So
There's never a plan, man.
no, there's never. That's not the story of our life. There actually is. There's a master plan.
There always
there's no
is.
specific, but that's the fun of it, right?
Yes, exactly.
Let's just go with the civility thing first. I know we touched on it a little bit in the first, but it's an open-ended question. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but just to touch on it, like when you sum up everything, Rocco, like where did? Let's not talk about decency. Let's just talk about civility at the time being. Like the word civility. What our grandparents would define that. What our parents would define that. Because we are close in age, roughly.
Yeah. do you define it? How do you define civility?
See, I put kindness and order together in the same sentence.
Sure.
The word would have to be an orderly system that extols kindness over violence or over any, it's a quality of life thing. Sure. And in that sentence, you're defining the quality of life. I see order ebbing away, the breakdown of the foundation of society, sense of the order ebbs away. And I also see, for a lot of reasons, kindness ebbing away as well.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think when you start removing order from a society, then I think human beings revert to our animalistic nature. Mm-hmm. And I think, because being kind to one another is in my mind, a higher level process. No doubt. Than the animalistic nature that human beings have. So when you remove order and people, it's easier to just react on instinct and just be assholes to each other and remove that decency and remove that kindness because there's no consequences anymore. Like when you start removing police departments and, not putting criminals away, you're removing the order that's put in society to ensure civility. Now people are like, well, it's just easier to do whatever the fuck I want instead of trying to be nice to people or trying to refrain from doing wrong things. And I just look at it as it's a deterioration of society right now.
And
Because it's easy.
It's exemplified certainly in the bigger cities.
Absolutely.
In the middle of 2020, we did the crazy. When I look back on this, we did the craziest thing. We identified a problem in society, and instead of putting a plan together to fix it logically or try to start fixing it, we created another problem. We just went from one horrible thing and said, okay, that's fucked up. Here's another fucked up thing to counteract that. Being that we just took the police away.
Defund the police, yeah.
Like we saw a bad thing happen to some people, and to fix that, we're just going to destroy the institution. So like that was going to make everything better.
Right,
like
exactly.
we should be intelligent creatures in the year 2020, 2022 to realize, basic things. And if you take the order and the protection out of society, criminals and those that are inclined to be thinking that way are going to take advantage, right?
Yeah.
That's just fucking logic.
It's stupid, and I would, and it's like I look at
third grade thinking, man.
Yeah, like okay, so if I eat food that was cooked and I get food poisoning, right? It's like, oh shit. So now we're just like, we're not going to cook food anymore. Like, fuck it. We're not going to cook food anymore because cooking the food caused the problem. Let's just not cook the food anymore. All it's going to do is just prevent the cooking of the food was the one thing that prevented people from getting sick by eating like raw meat. Yeah, there might be one bad apple every once in a while, or one thing is maybe undercooked and you get sick. We're just saying, you know what, this person got food poisoning. We're just going to not cook the food anymore. We don't know how to fix it. We're just going to. It's like such simple logic. Like, how do you fucking remove a police force? We're going to defund the police. Okay, who's going to put order in society? We're going to put social workers to go around and talk to criminals. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? The same thing with the whole gun debate. It's like, well, criminals are still criminals.
100%.
Like, they're still criminals. You just by putting more strict gun laws in place
100%.
does not mean we're like, you know what, I'm going to not be a criminal anymore because I just, these gun laws are just too strict. I'm going to go get a job at Sheetz. It's not going to fucking happen. Like, think about, it's that simple, and I don't understand why we don't talk about it that way. Like, people think that, oh, if we have all these shootings, and I get there are certain things that need fixed. End all be all, criminals are still criminals.
Then just fix the things,
right?
But don't tear down an institution,
right?
Don't tear down the safety for the average person on the street.
Correct. It's unbelievable.
You tear down the protection for the masses to address an issue, a bad issue, but an issue that addressed the few.
Yes,
which is crazy, which doesn't help the few, which you're trying to help,
right?
You hurt the masses.
And the whole thing with the whole defund the police, and I'm just going to say it, in all these situations where these tragic things happened, we also have to remember that most of those instances, these people were in the middle of a commission of a crime. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I know as a person, if I commit a crime, a possible consequence of that is death. Mm-hmm. Because I'm breaking the law. Maybe it should not happen, but I've got to understand that if I engage in an action, there is a consequence to that action. And we don't talk about that.
And it's again, you're right. It's a risk, right?
Yes.
And bad. I used to have a relative that used to say to me when I was young, Eric, not much good happens after midnight.
Right.
And I'm not implying that these circumstances happened at midnight. They happen in daylight. But I'm saying the essence of context of what I'm saying is you got to mitigate risk. And you got to learn risk mitigation at its most basic level when you're young.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So when you get into your late teens and 20s, you got a foundation and that, hey, these things, worse things can happen if I take these chances.
Yes.
I think there's folks in society don't get that. They weren't raised with it, or they've had other influences like television and movie and the rest of it that supersede maybe logic at times. And you're right. Horrible things happen.
Yeah.
beyond the initial act.
Sure,
at
yes,
times,
and that is,
but
and that is
we put yourself there to do that
exactly
often.
And that's the thing. Like I get, like those things those ultimate consequences should not have happened. We need to fix those problems.
But how did we get there?
Right, that's the thing. Like, how did you get there in the first place? Like, if I go out and drink 10 beers and decide to get in my car and drive and go 80 miles an hour,
you'd be an asshole
and get in a wreck. Yeah, right. Like I understand the consequence of that action, and if I would get killed, like that's on me. Like I engaged in a risky behavior. Same thing here. If you get killed in the mission of the commission of a crime, remove the commission of a crime, and you don't get killed. And we're not talking about that. And I get there are unfortunate and terrible things that happen.
Yeah, there's two parts of the equation.
Absolutely.
You address the abhorrent behavior of the cop.
Yes.
Who should be just executing justice.
Yes.
The best way possible in the circumstance. But then we can't absolve the root of why the issue happened to begin with.
Yes.
The root didn't get the attention.
Exactly. That's it, because we don't want to give the root the attention.
Yeah, because it doesn't fall in favor with the political
narrative.
thing.
It's not the narrative.
And we need to be more sophisticated in thought that way.
Exactly.
All right, so you remember Joan of Arc from history class?
Yeah. The French heroine.
Yeah. Did you know that there is a new UK play where they're going to try to rewrite that and make her a non-binary character?
Of course. Why wouldn't we do that? Why wouldn't we erase history or change history?
It's newsworthy because it's in the news.
Why? Like, why?
To make people feel better?
Well, so I read one of the articles about it, and it said that they were, it's written as a, well, what if? What if she was non-binary?
You could say that about everybody.
Well, and it's just like, what? But that wasn't even a thing back then. So we're really trying to erase and rewrite history. Like, when did the whole non-binary...
We're great at that.
Right, but it's like, come on, like, just let certain things be.
Why does it matter is my point.
Well, that's what I don't understand
The
either.
story
Like,
is the
whole
essence
point.
of what happened.
Correct.
And I think that, I could be wrong, but I believe women have enjoyed that story because of the fierce nature.
Yes. Strong female character.
Yeah, the ethics of the whole thing, and it reflected well on the female gender.
Yes, a powerful woman.
I'm so confused.
I don't
What's
get that.
the point here?
Because again, it's like, and to my mind, it's like, okay, doesn't that piss women off? Like women that truly are about feminism and the strong female, that would piss me off. Like you're trying to rewrite this and say, well, Joan of Arc, who has always throughout history been deemed this powerful woman, was she really a woman? Maybe she was just not a woman. Maybe she was non-binary. So how now you're taking a figure that symbolized a powerful piece of a gender and saying, nope, we're going to put it in this category now. Okay. Like you're taking that away. Like why? Like what's the point of doing that?
I don't know, man. So is the bigger picture, Rocco, we've got too many groups in society.
Yes.
Like groups, like, that sounds kind of a weird thing to say, but it appears to me that maybe we've always had groups of people, but they all didn't have equal voices because it made more sense when you would equate the strength of their voice based upon how much participation there was. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Case in point, take something as elementary as music, right? Yeah. Why are some bands more successful than others? Well, they have a broader appeal.
Yeah.
That's how it's rooted, right?
They're better.
So you hear, that's subjective, but I think that the litmus test happens by appeal.
Sure.
They must be better.
Yeah. To
whatever
to
better
yes,
defined
correct,
as,
yes.
if more people dig them. We're okay with that in society.
Yeah.
But we're not okay with anyone's particular political group or however self-identification thing is. We should all have equal footing. I get the equal rights thing 1,000%. It's in me. But in terms of unique specific stuff, we just create stuff, make a cause, find a couple people that dig our cause, or a small swath of people that dig our cause, and now we elevate the voice.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. And then it starts to dictate.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we find ourselves in this weird dichotomy. And other countries are looking at us like, you're out of your fucking mind.
We are out of our fucking mind.
You know, you have elevated these small little voices of crazy shit sometimes.
100%.
And not only have you elevated their voice to be in the same level playing field, sometimes you've elevated them above what the rest of society wants.
Yeah, you give them more validity. Because,
it's nuts.
And that's the problem, right? You create these groups that I believe, like we've said, equality of opportunity, not equality of results. But now definitely. We're looking at, okay, if we create a group of just an identifier, well, they should have the same results as everybody else. It's like, no. It's not how this world works.
And it's interesting because they're now conflating, and they're getting away with it, I think, in theory, because they're conflating God-given rights because they're identifying this new identity they've created. And because that's a human thing, they should have those inalienable human rights of equality.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's just a new made-up definition.
Right.
You see what I mean? It's like it's not based upon normal established definitions that are little sectors of that. They've taken this little sector and made it its own thing.
Yeah.
Look at it sounds conflated, but I'm saying they've elevated their specifics to mean something weight-wise in society that doesn't make sense.
I mean, you've heard of transabled, right? Like people people are identifying as disabled.
Stop.
Yeah, I mean, people have been identifying as disabled. I think they're called transabled. So they're not disabled, but they're identified as disabled. Like that's
because they want to be.
Because they get treated differently if they're disabled. They get different benefits. They get to park in handicapped spots, like different shit like that. That's how fucking crazy we've gotten.
I'm jumping off there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, but that's a pure example of what you're saying. We've created the category to say I'm going to identify as disabled, so I can conflate my value to now take advantage of these things that are truly meant for disabled people.
No, that's just despicable.
It's completely despicable, but it's become normalized in
like
society.
Everything else.
Right. Like that's the problem.
Whatever whim you have, whatever you can possibly dream
Yes.
up in your head, Johnny, you can make it a reality.
Listen, man, I'm going to identify as handsome and intelligent, and if you call me something otherwise, I'm offended.
And like we're going to cancel you out.
Right. It's fucking bullshit.
So
only refer to me as handsome and intelligent from now on. Okay.
Okay, you got it.
That's good.
It's kind of a sad thing, but you're familiar with the author Solomon Rushdie?
Yes.
Wrote the Satanic Verses. It's a critique, and it's a strong critique of the Islam religion. Wrote it in 88 or 89.
Yeah.
He was stabbed, and I think at the time of this filming, unfortunately his near death happened in New York City.
Yeah.
And I think it was an Iranian sympathizer who did the deed. My question is, like, he's already a person who has had his life threatened. I think the Ayatollah Khomeini, the second one, back in the late 80s, put a $3 million price tag on his head.
Yeah.
And this has been going on for a long time. How do you not have better just the elemental question, how do you not have better security for this guy when he comes to speak at your function? Like, how does someone get the ability to run up on stage and stab, like, there's a breakdown there somewhere.
Yeah, or
right?
maybe they thought he's not, a person of importance of that extent anymore. I mean, that could be too, right? Because you're looking at, okay, well, what type of event was he speaking at? Like, I mean, I've spoken at events where there's no security. Like, if someone come up on stage and stab me.
No world leaders put a $3 million price tag on
also
your head.
true.
Yes.
That I know of. I mean, maybe it's out there. I would hope not. I tend to be a decent human being. I would like to think that no one's putting a bounty on my head, but maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I mean that could be the case. I don't know all the facts in particular, but it can be.
What's a generational thing? I was late 80s. You were still probably
I wasn't fucking playing with G.I. Joe and
there
Legos.
There you go. But I remember the book coming out. I was probably like my early 20s.
Yeah,
like it was a big thing on. I know the news cycle was much different back then.
Yeah.
But that was certainly, and I'm not a Solomon Rushdie scholar. I can't articulate on the novel, but I know it was a very impactful book, and it really pissed off a good portion of the world's population.
Of course.
There's a lot of,
Of course.
Muslims. So yeah, but that's I just think about like violence for the sake of violence. Like we're watching it like in high definition now, like real life freaking violence.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy. And I guess the actress Anne Heche, am I pronouncing that right?
And Hesh or Heche, yeah.
Anne Heche, yeah. I guess she's
in critical condition.
She's dead.
Oh, she died.
She died this morning. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. But I guess she was coked up. I guess she took a bunch of cocaine, and
she also has a documentary coming out about child trafficking.
Interesting.
Yeah. I just saw something that
comes
said
a conspiracy theory.
But I just saw something last night or this morning that was talking about. They said it's still going to air. So it's like a Netflix documentary she made about either child pornography or child trafficking. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. Like all of a sudden, like she gets coked up and runs a car into a house. Like right before this documentary's on there. I mean,
here come conspiracies.
I mean, there's just so many things that line up. It's like, is it a conspiracy? I don't know, but I feel like you never fucking know anymore.
Yeah, I didn't know much about her. I know that she struggled with, her. I said the word. No, I'll get condemned for saying the word struggle, but she talked about it. Struggled with her gender in terms of identity. She dated men, and she dated, I think. Ellen DeGeneres for a period of time. I was married to her, I think.
Yeah,
married to her.
I think so.
And then they got divorced. I think she ended up having. I think she has a son. I think too. Mm-hmm. The point was, I always thought she was a very attractive woman, and usually the times I saw her, she held herself with grace. Yeah. So it's just a tragic thing, and it didn't make any sense to me. Like there was a horrific video of that crash. Did you see?
No, I didn't see the video. No.
It wasn't gory, but it was like they were. I thought shot from a helicopter. They were taking her out of the vehicle and then taking her in a white sheet covered over her head because I guess she was burned extensively, and taking her into the ambulance. Yeah. And right before they got her into the ambulance, like she sits up. Yeah. And she comes uncovered, and you can't really see, a lot of detail. And she leans forward and starts flailing her arms. Like, I don't know, maybe she was going into a seizure. Wow. I don't know, but it was really sad and really horrifying. And that's a shame. Wrap this up, man. You got to have something a little odd in the news, right? Of
course.
Did you see? I think his name is it Ronaldo Castro, who's a young Pittsburgh Pirate. He was sliding into third base, and his cell phone come flying out of his baseball pants pocket.
Yes.
Of course, it happened to a Pittsburgh Pirate, and of course, it was a kid that was just called up from the minors.
Yeah, he was just called up from the Indianapolis, I think it said, AAA. Yeah.
Did you see the third base coach's reaction? It was fucking priceless.
Well, it's a violation of MLB rules, right? They can't have any electronic devices in the dugouts.
That's my understanding. I know football is extremely because of the gambling aspect.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
Absolutely. Like there's a lot of things. I think gambling is definitely part of it, right? And I think they said they were going to investigate whether it was the cell phone. I feel like it's a violation. It fucking fell out of his pocket when he was sliding into third. So. And he said he didn't realize he had it. Like I feel like when you have your cell phone. I mean,
it was one of the big ones. Like I carried the Max. It was a big one.
And it was like I played baseball. Like baseball pants are tight. If something's in a pocket. And I mean, I feel like when I was a kid and playing baseball, if I had a cell phone in my pocket, I would know it's there.
Yeah, I didn't have those luxuries when I was a kid. I had a big little bag of Big League Chew.
Oh yeah, I had that. I know
Big League Chew,
or Big League Chew. That's exactly what it was.
And you'd make a mistake once in a while, and you put maybe some Rolos in there, and they'd melt. But that was that's a child. You only make that mistake once with chocolate when you're a kid.
Yeah, you don't do that. I didn't really eat Rolos on the baseball field. It was always Big League Chew or sunflower seeds.
Oh, so you were like more pro. The sunflower seed thing had not gotten to us. I'm talking like the 70s now.
I eat sunflower seeds now when I'm watching Molina's games. I just feel like I'm at a baseball field. I have to eat them. It's just a natural instinct. I do.
It's better than chew.
Yeah, exactly. I never did that. It's just the sunflower seeds. It's just there's something about them at a baseball field.
My friend, that wraps up another 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get any prettier.
No,
but it's always
keeps getting fucked up.
It's always fun though.
Yeah.
All right.
See it, man.
All right. See you in 2 weeks, friends. We're out.